Okay, Stig, it's been a little while, I think, since we last caught up. Plenty going on in the close season. I guess if we start with season ticket sales have gone really well early on. We're over 550, fast approaching 600 now, which has been probably quicker than the last couple of seasons at least.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, no, it's obviously season tickets are on sale a little bit later this year because we had some decisions to make around the pricing structure, and obviously we were keen to freeze the prices as much as we could, and we had to really be clear about the impact that would have on our income. So they went on sale a bit later, but actually the way they've flown out has been absolutely fantastic, and we're really pleased. As you say, I think within 7 or 8 days this year, we've sold as many as we sold in the first 2021 last year, which is a really good sign. So yeah, thanks to everybody that's bought season tickets. As we always say, the more season tickets we sell, the more it gives us a solid base to build from for the course of the season. Match day attendances obviously can go up and down, and obviously do depend on, on field progress, etc. But season tickets, once they're sold, and then you can spread that income right across the entire season. So it just gives you that platform to build from, which is great. So hopefully they'll continue to sell. We sold between 1,250 and 1,300 last year, didn't we? So yeah. If we could beat that this year, it would just be absolutely fantastic.
Yep. 1,268 plus we had some half season tickets later on as well, but obviously hopefully a few more people will commit to a season ticket, and that's obviously enables kind of Paul to go out and spend his budget wisely as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right. God, I think there's too much talk, isn't there? We get sick of talking about budgets and income and all that sort of stuff. We love the football, and that's what we want to talk about more than anything. But it is important that people understand the way we have to do it. We obviously, as a board, we have to set our budget for the season. It's based on, potential income or predicted income over the course of the season. Now, there's no point us setting a budget that is ridiculously optimistic. We've got to be realistic about it. So we try and hit that line between being cautious in case things don't progress so well on the field, but also being optimistic, because we have to get on the front foot and we have to be positive in terms of our predictions, and that's what we've done. And as it's been, it's been documented that there has been an increase in the playing budget. It's not huge by any means, so I don't want people listening to suddenly think we're flush with cash. And I know Paul certainly doesn't want people thinking we're flush with cash, but we are trying to do what we can on the field. We've obviously launched Squad Builder this week. And sometimes I think there's a bit of a, not confusion, but the conversations I see sometimes about Squad Builder frustrate me, because for a club like ourselves, and I know it's similar at Chester, where we are essentially trying to be entirely sustainable and we're only spending money that we bring in, Squad Builder is absolutely vital, because it's money that comes into the club that sits outside our predicted income streams and our regular income streams. I see comments about, why are we not in for this player? Why are we not in for that player? And well, in reality, that's because we are only spending the money that we have. We could go off and spend money that we don't have, but we all know where that's got us in the past as a football club, and we all know how things have ended in the past. Other clubs might have an individual or individuals who are willing to put money in at a loss, which allows them to go and spend more than they're earning, but we simply can't do that. And I think the message I get across to fans in terms of Squad Builder is it is absolutely vital to a club like ours. I think Chester are targeting £125,000 from their Squad Builder, and I think they've already had nearly 500 individual contributors. Now, if we could get to the levels where we were having that many contributors, it would be absolutely remarkable. We generally get somewhere around 200, I think, Jay, which, we're grateful to every single one of them. But if we could start to increase that number, it would make a huge difference. And that money, again, is completely ring fenced to be spent on the football and on the playing side of things. And as much as I'd love to have more money to throw at the playing side, and I'm sure we all would, it isn't possible unless we start being reckless with the club's finances. And we're just not willing to do that. We've lost our football club once. We're not going to lose it again. So what I would say to people about the Squad Builder scenario, it's not a begging bowl. It's not put out there because we're short of money. It is put out there because it is something that could have a massive, decisive influence on the team that we're able to put on the field. And I would say to supporters, if you can support it, please do. And again, I don't, it's not in any way meant to sound ungrateful, because I completely appreciate the times of stuff financially, but it's a bit kind of like there seems to be an expectation of money coming in from here, there, and everywhere, and that's just not the reality. We have got to live within our means, otherwise we end up in a right mess, and we can't do that. So obviously the founding shareholders have again come forward, and they said they're happy to match fund with supporters up to £60,000. So if we can raise £60,000 from the general fan base, then our founding shareholders, who are supporters themselves, will match that £60,000. And what a difference that would make to Paul. And actually, the sooner we can start that process and get that moving, the better, because now is the time that Paul wants to be making his moves. He's really pleased with the work he's done so far. I'm really impressed with his recruitment. As always, we've got a really good solid base. We've got 13 players, if you include Adam Rooney, who now we're moving to 7 substitutes. Is a very useful player to have, around the place as well, with his experience and his years of knowledge and know-how. So we're in a good place that way. I've got I'm not worried about the size of the squad currently. We're only early in June in reality, so there's a long time to go. You've almost got to wait for the top echelons of players to find their homes, and then others might start getting more realistic about what's on offer for them. So it's time to be patient. We've got to be patient, but I'm really pleased with the business that we've done, and I know Paul is busying himself. His only focus is on trying to build the best possible squad he can with the budget he's got. He's adding to his backroom staff as well, because James and Sean have moved on. The physio and the goalkeeping coach have moved on, so he's adding to those, and he's just busy going about his work. And without going into it too much, I know there's speculation. There's always speculation, but we can't respond to speculation because there is so much of it. We never stop responding to it. What I can say to supporters, if there's anything definitive to say or anything concrete to say, we'll come out and say it. All I know is that Paul is busying himself, bringing in players, as he's already done earlier this week, bringing in his backroom staff, planning pre-season friendlies, which we're now pretty a long way forward with, and just people focus on the positives around the club at the moment, and let's get on with doing it. I work in the media. I know how it works. I'm not interested in the speculation. I'm only interested in the facts, and let's just focus on those.
I know I call it silly season. We get it all every year. But can kind of some of the rumours sometimes have a negative impact, you think, on kind of the whole feeling, but maybe also Paul when he's going out and trying to bring players in?
Yeah, I suspect it probably does, but I think it just destabilises, doesn't it? And there's really no need for it. I think it, any old fool can put a rumour on social media and make it sound real, can't they? Do you know what I mean? So I just say to people, just disregard it. I think our communication's been pretty good over the past couple of years. Paul's has been very good himself as well. If we've got anything to say, trust us to come out and say it. That's the thing. There's nothing definitive. Then we're not going to be talking about it. It strikes me that if as I said, we are a small club, but there's a lot of interest in our club. Or if you like, we're a small club in terms of national football terms, but there's a lot of interest in it, and so there will always be a lot of rumours, and a lot of it's unhelpful. So I try and just ignore it and disregard it the vast majority of the time. But people have just brought it to my attention over the past few days that there are rumours, and I just thought it's worth addressing it, really. Like I said, if we have stuff to say, we'll say it. Paul's under contract for another season. We're absolutely delighted with him. We've shown our commitment to him by delivering the biggest possible budget we can for him to go out and sign a squad. And if we all just continue to work together, then I think we've got exciting things ahead of us still.
Turning our attention to off the field, then one of the changes that we've made moving into next season is the decision to go cashless, which obviously, not an easy decision really, but one that's kind of almost been made for us, I guess, in terms of the amount of people using cash throughout last season.
Yeah, well, you know this far better than me, Jay, because obviously you're involved on a day-to-day basis behind the scenes, but there are very few people that are actually using cash on a match day now. I think fans would be surprised quite how little cash is handed over bars and club shop and stuff now. So it just makes sense. It's something we thought about before, and I think it just makes sense to go down the route of doing it. I know you've been heavily in favour for some time because it just makes resourcing everything much more straightforward. There's less danger of money, of misunderstandings, of money not being put in the right place and everything like that. So it just, I know there's frustration, and I know people don't like change and are resistant to change, but actually there is very little cash spent at Edgar Street on a match day. And therefore it's just the right move for us. It saves a lot of work in terms of making sure there are floats in all the bars and all the tills and all that type of stuff. And it all saves time and it all makes us more professional. It won't affect the 50-50 draw and that match day element. Jeremy will still be able to carry his bag round with him, so we aren't going to send Jeremy into a meltdown with technology at this stage. But I firmly believe it's the right decision on behalf of the club, and the vast majority of places you go now are becoming cashless. So it's important that we try and mirror that and try and be as professional as possible.
I think the average match day is about 4% cash spend, so it's a tiny amount throughout last season. And I think it's worth pointing out, you say about Jeremy and the 50-50s, but it's tickets, club shop, and our match day bars. So obviously the 50-50 sales will still take cash, and the snap bars as well, which obviously aren't run by us. It'll be their decision as to whether they carry on taking cash or whether they move to card. But from our point of view, it's tickets, club shop, and match day drinking bars. So Radford's, Allison's, exec is all going to be cashless. But it takes a lot of pressure and kind of issues away by going to cashless. And I think there's a few grounds we went to last season were cashless, and there didn't seem to be any issues in terms of fans being able to get what they want. So that's that change anyway.
So the thing is, my view on this, and I've said it, we're not always going to make decisions that are popular, but if we believe and firmly believe they're the right decision for the club, we've got to be strong enough to make them. And this is one, I think, that is the right decision for the club moving forward. Apologies to those people who are inconvenienced by the decision, but hopefully it'll turn out to be the right one.
Yeah, cool. Again, off the pitch, but we had the kit launch for the home kit recently, which has gone down really, really well. They're kind of flying off the shelves, so credit to John Sadler in the shop and Emma who does the online orders there. They seem to have gone down really well, and hopefully in the next week or two we'll be launching the away kit as well. So big thanks to M&M as always for their kind of help on that. But the kit seems to have gone down really well. It's always got the potential to split the crowd, hasn't it? A kit launch of any sort. You'll never make everybody happy with it. I'm really pleased with how it's gone down. I think the kit looks really, really nice. It'd be great to see the players, and it was interesting. It was nice to see Willow in his signing photos in the actual kit itself, which was good, and the same with Theo. When Theo signed, it was really good. So I'm quite excited about that and everything. And it's just actually while I'm on the subject, mentioned a couple of players. I think it's just wanted to take this opportunity to wish Sammy and Jaden all the very best, having their announcements in recent days. Really did really well for us last season, always gave their all, and I hope they move on. It's great to see Jaden's got to move up to the level above, which is really pleasing, and I hope Sammy himself also gets a decent gig somewhere and goes from strength to strength, because they both deserve the best, I think. Just finally, the last thing from me anyway is I'm looking out the window now onto the pitch, and there's 4 brand new floodlights standing, not quite glowing yet, but they're all up, and the electricians are working away as we speak to get them all connected. So I bet it's a big sigh of relief for Darren, who obviously has done a lot of work to get these to the stage they are now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. A massive thank you to Darren for months and months. It feels like years of hard work to try and get the floodlights installed. Amazing. When I was over on Friday to see the big holes that have been put in, and you can see why, the requirement for the extra foundation strength because of the water table at the meadow end. But it's a big moment actually to have those new floodlights in place. We're all very attached to the old ones, but there had to come a time when we had to move forward, like a lot of things at Edgar Street, and I think those new floodlights are going to have a big impact. They're much closer to the corners of the pitch, much nicer. The light's going to be much more direct, and and the long and short of it is the lights themselves will save us money as a football club, which again has got to be a benefit to us. So thank you to Darren for all his hard work. Thank you to you, and thank you to the Football Foundation for all their support in terms of the finance as well and the grant funding, because clearly without that support we wouldn't be able to do it, and they've been really understanding through all our trials and tribulations as well, which has been absolutely brilliant. So massive thank you to lots of people,
and a bit of forward thinking and forward planning, that they're future proofed for if we ever need to increase the lighting on them as well. So hopefully years down the line they're still going to be suitable and working. When
we need to increase the illumination, when we get promoted,
there we are.
Hopefully twice, then they'll be able to take us to the next level as well, which will be fantastic.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, that's all from me, I think, so far. So back to it, and I will see you soon.
Thanks, Jay. Take care.
Brilliant. Thank you. Bye.